There is a place many spirits go, and most of them do not even realize they are there. Not because it is hidden, but because it feels familiar. It feels like home. This is the place of continuation. Imagine leaving your body, yet everything around you still seems the same. The environment, the routines, even the people you love. The spirit remains attached to the life it just left, repeating patterns, holding on to unfinished emotions, refusing to accept that a transition has already happened. There is no dramatic awakening here, no sudden realization, only a quiet extension of what was already being lived. This happens because the soul was never prepared to let go. It built its identity entirely on the material world, on control, on possession, on what could be seen and touched. And when the moment of death arrives, nothing inside that spirit knows how to move forward. So it stays, not out of punishment, out of attachment. There are spirits who walk through familiar places, trying to be heard, trying to be felt, still believing they belong to what no longer belongs to them. They are not lost in distance. They are lost in awareness. Now ask yourself something honestly. What in your life are you holding on to so tightly that, if everything were taken from you today, you would not know who you are without it? Because the danger is not in dying. The danger is in remaining the same. And as you begin to understand this, something deeper starts to emerge. Because not all spirits remain in familiar illusions. Some are taken somewhere they cannot escape from. There is a place no spirit can avoid once awareness begins to awaken. A place where there are no distractions, no masks, no way to escape from what has been done, said, or even thought. This is the place of reflection. Here, the soul does not face judgment from others. It faces something far more powerful. It faces truth. Every action returns, not as memory alone, but as experience. Every word spoken is felt from the other side. Every intention is revealed without distortion. What was hidden in life becomes undeniable here, and this is where many are shaken. Because during life, it is easy to justify, easy to explain, easy to pretend, but in this place, there is no audience to convince, no narrative to protect, only clarity. A clarity so deep that the spirit begins to see the real impact of its existence. Some experience profound peace here, realizing they acted with sincerity, compassion, and purpose. But others feel a weight they never allowed themselves to acknowledge while alive, not because they are being punished, but because they are finally seeing without filters. This place does not exist to condemn. It exists to awaken, and the question that rises here is unavoidable. If you were to relive your own actions, not from your perspective, but from the perspective of those affected by you, what would you feel? Because whether a spirit moves forward in peace or carries a burden into the next stage depends on what is revealed in this moment of truth. And yet, even after facing truth, not every spirit accepts it. Some choose something else, something more dangerous than ignorance. There is a place where truth is visible, yet still denied. A place where the spirit has already seen enough to awaken, but chooses not to. This is the place of illusion. Here, the soul clings to what it wants to believe, not what is real. It creates its own version of reality, shaped by pride, fear, or deep resistance. Instead of transformation, it chooses comfort. Instead of growth, it chooses control. And this is where the danger becomes subtle. Because this place does not feel like suffering at first. It can feel convincing, even peaceful. The spirit builds narratives to justify its past, reshapes memories to protect its identity, and avoids anything that threatens the image it still holds of itself. It is not trapped by walls, it is trapped by choice. Some spirits remain here for what feels like an eternity, not because they are forced to stay, but because accepting truth would require letting go of who they believe they are. And for many, that is harder than any form of suffering. Now think carefully. How many times have you ignored something you knew was true, simply because facing it would demand change? How many times have you protected your comfort instead of confronting reality? Because this place does not begin after death. It begins in life. And the longer a spirit lives in illusion, the harder it becomes to recognize the path out of it. But there is a stage where illusion can no longer be maintained, where silence replaces denial, and the soul is left with nothing but itself. There is a place where all noise disappears. No voices, no distractions, no illusions to hide behind, only stillness. This is the place of silence. At first, it does not feel threatening. It feels empty. But as time unfolds, that emptiness begins to speak in a way no sound ever could. Because here, the spirit is left alone with everything it avoided during life. No validation, no attention, no escape. This place is often reached by those who rejected connection, who lived closed within themselves, who ignored the deeper call to love, to serve, to grow beyond their own limits. Not out of evil, but out of indifference. And indifference leaves a mark. In life, it is easy to fill every moment with noise, with activity, with distractions that prevent true reflection. But in this place, none of that exists. The spirit begins to feel the weight of its own isolation, not imposed from outside, but built over time through choices that disconnected it from others and from purpose. And slowly, something begins to shift. Because in the silence, the spirit starts to hear what it never allowed itself to hear before. Regret may arise, awareness may begin, a longing for connection may awaken for the first time. Now ask yourself something honestly. When you are alone in complete silence, what rises within you? Peace or discomfort, because silence does not create anything. It reveals. And for some spirits, this revelation becomes the beginning of change, a movement away from isolation towards something new, something that prepares the soul for what comes next. There is a place where something begins to change, not suddenly, not effortlessly, but with intention. This is the place of preparation. Here, the spirit is no longer lost, no longer denying, no longer running. It begins to understand, not just intellectually, but deeply. There is a quiet acceptance that growth is necessary, that transformation cannot be avoided, and that what comes next depends on what is chosen now. This place is not comfortable, but it is hopeful. The soul starts to release what once defined it. Old attachments begin to lose their strength. The need to control fades. The resistance that once held it back starts to weaken, and in its place something new emerges. Humility, willingness, a desire to become better than what it was. There is guidance here, not forced, not imposed, but available. The spirit begins to perceive direction, to sense that it is not alone in this process. But here is the difference. Guidance only becomes clear when the soul is ready to listen, and many, even at this stage, struggle with that. Because preparation requires responsibility. It requires the spirit to stop blaming, to stop justifying, and to begin choosing consciously. Every realization becomes a step. Every acceptance becomes movement. And slowly, the soul aligns itself with something higher than its previous state. Now reflect on this. Not because nothing matters, but because everything has been understood in the right way. This is the place of light. Here, the spirit no longer resists truth. It lives in alignment with it. There is clarity, a deep sense of peace that does not depend on circumstances, because it comes from within. The confusion that once guided its choices is gone. In its place, there is awareness. This is not a reward given randomly. Are you resisting change, or are you preparing for it? Are you waiting for life to force transformation, or are you choosing it before it becomes unavoidable? Because this place is not reserved for after death. It begins the moment you decide to grow. And as the spirit advances, there comes a moment where preparation turns into elevation, where the soul is no longer just learning, but experiencing something greater. There is a place where the weight is lifted. It is the natural state of a soul that has learned to let go of what was never meant to define it. In this place, the spirit experiences connection in its purest form. Not attachment, not dependency, but unity. There is no need to prove, no need to compete, no need to hide. Everything is seen and everything is accepted with truth. And yet, this place is not the end, because many imagine this as the final destination. But it is not about stopping. It is about becoming. The spirit here understands something most never realize. Growth does not end with peace. It expands through it. Now ask yourself something that few dare to consider. If you were stripped of your fears, your ego, your need for control, who would you become? Because the light does not change who you are. It reveals who you have been becoming all along. And from this place, some spirits remain, while others are called towards something that requires even more courage. Not to stay in peace, but to return with purpose. There is a place that few truly understand, and even fewer are willing to accept. Not because it is hidden, but because it challenges everything the mind expects as an ending. This is the place of return. After clarity, after awareness, after reaching a state where the soul understands itself beyond illusion, there comes a choice, not forced, not imposed, but deeply aligned with purpose. Some spirits remain in peace, but others feel something stronger. A calling to go back, not as punishment, not as failure, but as continuation. Because what has been learned is not meant to remain still. It is meant to be lived, tested, expanded. The spirit understands that growth is not complete, and that there are still experiences, lessons, and transformations that can only happen within the reality it once left behind. And this is where everything changes, because returning requires courage. It means entering again into uncertainty, into limitation, into a world where memory fades and challenges are real. It means choosing evolution over comfort, purpose over rest. Now think about this carefully. What kind of soul would willingly leave peace to face struggle again? A soul that understands something most ignore, that life is not random, that every moment is an opportunity to refine, to grow, to align more deeply with truth. And this brings you back to where you are right now. Because the question is no longer about where the spirit goes after death. The question is, what kind of path are you choosing while you are still here? Every decision you make, every intention you hold, every action you take is shaping that direction. Not someday, now. And once you truly see this, you cannot live the same way again.